Well, hello, Twitter. Let's see, I do have my audio going. Hello, my name is Frank Lavinia. Thanks for stopping by. You can catch me at the following URLs um, franksworld.com, frankdatadriven.tv, and impactquantum.com. What am I going to do when I add the fourth one? Autonomouswarfare.ai. Um, I have a bunch of domain names, and I'm one of those people, I kind of hoard domain names. So whenever I have a good idea, I always like to execute it right away. Or whenever I have an idea, I'm like, let me look through the domain names I already have. Um, so today I want to talk to you about Hollywood. It's Hollywood, baby, as they are fond to say. Um, what's interesting is the reaction that this young lady, who doesn't exist per se, that is an AI generated image, and it's provoking a interesting reaction. That's ironic. It just the pop-up just said, real news by real humans, right? That's interesting. Um, ain't that something? So what's unique about her now, having realistic, human-looking avatars is not new, or renditions are not new. The website "This person does not exist" has been around, I mean, at least 4 or 5 years. Actually, I remember talking about it before the pandemic, so it's been around, at least 5, 6 years. But the idea of being able to animate them and go through that in such a way and be able to emote in such a way is really, I wouldn't say unprecedented, but brand new. What's interesting, Bronson Pinchot, who's best known as, oops, I always think of him as the guy from Beverly Hills Cop who was working at the art gallery, but he was also on Perfect Strangers. He played Balky. Let me know in the comments if I got that name right. There's a sitcom from the 90s. Um, but Hollywood is in a tizzy about this computer generated actor. And I can totally understand it. I mean, if you look at, um, look at the reactions. Now, I do realize that these are the top of the search results, right? Let me expand this. These are the top of the search results. So, a lot of this is going to be, let me swap a lot of these search results are going to be clickbaity titles. But needless to say, the reaction to this is not positive by Hollywood. And I can totally understand that. I think that, um, look at this. Whoopi Goldberg warns audiences about AI movie actress. You won't have any connection. And you have to really wonder, like, we see people having really deep connections with their chat bots, right? Connection. I have a feeling that connections can be faked, and I think that for a lot of shows, for a lot of use cases, I think they could be. We already see this with Hollywood when the special effects, right? You can make Smeagol, a very realistic looking character. That connection, I think, is more to do with the writing and the performance of the voice actor, right? For a lot of those things, also the face capture and things like that. But this has been a long time coming. I'm not really surprised how this will work and whether or not it'll be more expensive. But this AI actor will have certain advantages over a synthetic, or over a natural actor. And one of those is going to be, this actor could work on multiple projects at the same time without any kind of exhaustion in different parts of the world. Um, I totally understand why they're freaked out about it, but I get the sense, um, let's see. So the Canadian, this type of nothing but lines of code, um, I think we're going to hear that a lot. Obviously, the actors union it has different feelings about it, as they should, right? But I do think that what we're looking at here is much like developers have faced this kind of existential crisis of, what's our purpose in this post AI world? And there's already been tons of layoffs and all that, right? Plenty of news sources can talk about this. Um, I think the real healthy reaction, the real anti-fragile reaction, if you will, you can tell I do love myself some Taleb. And if you've not read Nicholas Nassim Taleb, totally pick up his books. They're a bit heady and they're a bit kind of over the top. So I recommend the audiobooks, but they are definitely thought provoking and I dare say fun. Um, he as a person is definitely a character. But it's interesting. Could the next Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman be an AI avatar? So this is going to have certain advantages over. So they're all crying about. They're all decrying about how this works. What's interesting about her is that she has an agency that will book her. So that's the biggest hole I see in this plan. It's not difficult to create deep fakes or animated things from a photo, right? So if there's enough photos, enough material of her, I don't. I wonder if their attempt is to basically copyright her look, copyright her face, but the whole idea of, I think that's an interesting angle. That's probably actually the most interesting angle because if you go online, there's plenty of even Instagram influencers who make tons of money who are AI, and you can talk with them, you can chat with them, but you're really talking to a chatbot, realistically. There's a lot I have to say about that, but not today. But I find that very interesting that the reaction is such re- a reaction of what's effectively repulsion, and I totally understand it. Right, I do understand the reaction, the initial gut reaction, but I also think that the smart thing to do, the anti-fragile thing to do, is to find out what you can do as an actor that the AI can't do, right? And yeah, she has a point. You won't have any connection, right? What this is realistically going to do is really turn acting back into a profession of skill and less so about a profession of fame and marketing. That's my prediction of this. Um, because right now, all the top name actors, are they really like the best, most articulate actors in the world? Probably not, right? And I mean like, the Glenn Closes of the world, the F. Murray Abraham, is that his name? Like the real actors with gravitas, right? That can make you believe just about anything, right? There are a lot of those are just two names that kind of come up in my head, but the real kind of things. The other interesting thing is, would they be able to resurrect kind of classical actors like Cary Grant or Fred Astaire and bring them back to life with AI? Now, obviously, their estate would have something to say about that, and, whether or not that'll happen. But I mean, this has been a long time coming. I mean, this is a bit like, you know, this is like you could see this coming as these models got more realistic, right? We all laughed at Will Smith eating spaghetti, a few years ago, and then people stopped laughing when the latest round of these things became more realistic. There's a new interesting. It's called WAN AI video, and let's see if I can. More perfect. Yeah, you can create viral shorts in just a couple of minutes. Now, this here does look fake, right? Doesn't look realistic, but we're getting closer to that. And I think this is ultimately going to be a rise of a new art form, right? Um, you know, if you are a independent filmmaker or you were curious about um, making and telling stories, the big barrier to it has been the time and effort it takes and the money, really the money, right? Now a lot of that has been eliminated. So I mean, I think that it's a new age, and if Hollywood doesn't jump on this, another industry will, right? The one I'm looking for, and I can't seem to find it, is where I could be talking into the camera, and this isn't really new tech, right? So I shouldn't be that surprised by it. So I could use Adobe Character Animator, and it would basically use facial recognition to kind of, find my eyes and whatnot, and animate a character to me in real time. What is interesting about this is um, how it can match that in video in real time. So it wouldn't be just a cartoon character or a claymation looking character. It would be an honest to goodness um, video of a person. And I'm looking for the animated GIFs for it and things like that. So I think this is the future. They can complain, they can shout, but I hope in the back of their mind, they're looking for ways to live with this new reality. It's not going away. Um, just like coding, right? You can code up things now a lot faster. There's a video, I think it was Lovable. There's a 10-year-old who launched a website and an application within minutes. Obviously there's a little more to it than that, right? How do you scale and things like that? But the idea that you can be more productive as as a uh, a developer, as a creative, I think has really opened up the floodgates to what could be a new flourishing. So here's an app that I have that right now, I think Candace and I talked about this on a podcast. So the idea I had was I have an Amazon affiliate program, all that jazz, but sometimes it's hard to keep track of, what's what. So I created this application. Let me replace my screen sharing with this window, with a program that I called Bookie. Now I might open source this. I'm going to change the name to something else. I might open source it. I might do that. But basically, you paste in an Amazon URL, and it knows my affiliate code and all that stuff. And um, you can swear this is not a commercial for my new book. I swear. Um, but you paste in the URL from Amazon, and this scrapes it. Now, for those who've been following me for a long time, I do love me some screen scraping. Um, and But that code takes time to write. And as a father of three, wild boys, and four dogs, and a whole lot of other things going on, I had it all sketched out in my mind. I had notes. I wrote down notes. I wrote down screenshots. I was able to turn this over to an AI and have it real within. Hey, what happened to my share? Stop screen sharing, and have it a real workable application in pretty short order, right? So, and all sorts of fun things I realized I could add because I had the extra time now to do it, right? So I added a QR code, right? So that QR code I can paste into a social post or some kind of presentation or whatever. I also have the option of having a link that's not an affiliate link, right? So I'll have the ability to just kind of say, okay, here's the affiliate link, here's not affiliate link. You want to support me? Go ahead. You don't want to? Nah, you know, say la vie, right? I also have the ability to edit the item. I can find that. I do, I do have a search feature. I forgot I added that. Right. So all of these items here are things that originally was for books, but then I realized that you could do it for other things. Right. So this is cool. This is actually a thing where you can. It's basically a mini flamethrower, so you can de-weed de-weed your lawn. It's kind of fun, actually. Not gonna lie. Um, This is a book by my brother from another mother, Annie Leonard, right? And you can paste in, you know, a page from Amazon. So if you don't believe me, let me do it for you right now. Amazon. Um, sure. And if you're really going to buy this video card, please do it on my affiliate link. Because like the 1% of this is not trivial, or the 5%, I forget what it is. So I click on add item, paste in the URL. It's not a book. Item added. There you go. All right. The QR code. I'll leave it up in case people want to test it. I can save it. I can copy it to the clipboard. And, I also have this thing where I can copy a prompt. So what that does is I can go and I can basically type in, I'll share this. Bear with me. I got this idea from one of the podcast guests. There you go. So I can paste this in. This is all the data that's there. It's already there, right? The data's there, right? So just a matter of formatting it, right? So I have all this information, and I can paste this into any kind of prompt engine to give me come up with some catchy sales copy, so I can get that affiliate credit more likely, right? All these types of things are things that ideas that I have, and I have plenty of notebooks filled with ideas. Ideas are, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk that said ideas are cheap, or he used more vulgar language, right? But now you can execute on it, right? You can kind of, I'll be working on this computer. I'll have that computer over there. I'll just type in a prompt and have Claude Code go at it, right? Some examples of this. All right, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you all this, right? Because this is super new and super hot. All right. So in my day job, let's see. Bear with me. I work for Red Hat, and I was talking to one of the researchers about this new thing that's being added for a future version of the product. And I have to tell you, man, it's pretty cool. I have to say, it's really cool. Actually, let me just share the, there you go. So it's basically this notion of orthogonal fine tuning, right? And he was describing it. I kind of understood it, but I didn't understand it. So I basically went to Notebook LM and I said, hey, can you explain this to me? And I was like, that's really cool. So I had this whole idea of like, I was telling someone I went down this rabbit hole and I was like, yeah, that's a great way to describe this. And it basically came up with this. I wrote a notebook filled with code, sloppy code, but it was code nonetheless. But this year I was like, I need a way to visualize this, right? And just kind of the matplotlib stuff just wasn't cutting it. So this basically tells a whole story about this, right? But through the lens of Alice in Wonderland, right? And basically all the analogies that are here, the Queen's Matrix Garden, all this stuff, energy preservation, blah, blah, blah. How this goes. What happened to my simulator? That was a different project that I can't show yet. But you get the idea. That you can kind of see how these gradients go, what the cutoff is. So anything beyond this point, you don't want to one side of this axis you don't want to like mess with, so you can adjust some of the gradients. Because again, all of the AI stuff, the large language model stuff, ultimately it all boils down to math, right? Specifically, typically it's linear algebra. So I thought this was a cool way to teach and learn this stuff. And again, was an idea that I had. Hey, wait a minute, what happened to my camera? There we go. Was an idea that I had, but again, with everything going on, don't necessarily have the idea to execute on every crazy little idea I have. Not all my crazy ideas are winners, but a couple of them are. So with that in mind, I highly recommend, and I don't say this crassly, right? Because one of the things that always annoyed me about the whole learn to code movement was how crass it was. It became, right? You tell coal miners maybe they should learn to code. It's kind of crass. It's kind of rude and not respectful of the human beings who devoted their life to a particular craft. But I tell you, everybody in this world can benefit from reading Who Moved My Cheese. And I think that Hollywood is about to find out that their cheese is already moved. Now the only parts that's left is the shouting. And I think all of us, developers, everybody else, have to figure out how we're going to thrive with AI as opposed to screaming and shouting about it. And with that, I will end this live stream and wish you all a good weekend.